Give me my keys.
You cannot drive.
Move! Ma'am, please, now.
Call her a car.
You're just a waiter. Stand back from the car.
You don't give me orders.
Tonight, I do not hand you those keys. You're fired! Should I call someone?
No!
Call her sister. How dare you? Return the keys.
She is not driving. Film this. Is she all right? He took her property. The keys stay here. Call security. He's trying to help.
You are terminated. You can decide that tomorrow. Give them back. Walk away.
Not while she can reach the car.
He's humiliating me. Ma'am, please sit down. Stay out of this.
You think this makes you important?
No. Then hand them over.
It makes her safe.
I don't need saving.
You need a ride.
Her sister answered.
Hang up.
What's happening?
Disgruntled employee.
She has been drinking. Arrest him. Did he threaten you? No, officer. He took the keys. I gave them to the valet. Everyone stop talking. What exact threat did he make?
He said she couldn't leave.
I said she couldn't drive. Who do you think you are? Someone who knows what happens next.
What does that mean?
Sir, answer me.
You can't let her drive, Marcus said, as his boss fumbled for her keys beneath the hotel's neon awning. She laughed, called him just a waiter, and ordered him to disappear. But when two executives began filming and a police cruiser slowed at the curb, Marcus made a choice that could cost him his job and save her future. Why would a man she barely noticed risk everything for someone who had spent months belittling him? What did he know about the company she thought she controlled? By 9 the next morning, she would enter the executive office, see him at the head of the table, and realize the waiter she dismissed held the truth about her career. Stay until the door closes. The latch settled behind Elaine Voss with a soft click, cutting off the rattle of carts in the corridor. Marcus remained at the head of the table, wearing the charcoal vest she had seen soaked beneath the hotel awning. The silver watch on his wrist caught the morning light. Elaine stopped 3 steps inside. On the table lay her car keys, the termination form she had signed at 12:14 a.m., and a cream folder stamped with the Bellwether Grand Seal. What is this? Marcus turned the keys so the metal teeth faced away from her. Close the door, please. I already did. All the way. She pushed it until the latch caught. The room became so quiet that the ventilation system sounded like distant surf. Duncan Rourke sat nearest the window, his briefcase between his shoes. 2 attorneys faced him with unopened notebooks. She pointed at Marcus. Why is he in this meeting? Duncan rose too quickly. Elaine, sit down. We can explain. Marcus did not move. Can you? The question was aimed at Duncan, but Elaine answered. He was dismissed last night for insubordination. Marcus slid the termination form toward her. A coffee ring marked one corner. You signed this before you reached your sister's house. Her fingers tightened around her handbag. You followed me? No. I arranged the ride you refused to take. Duncan cleared his throat. The acquisition representatives will be here any minute. One attorney opened her notebook. They are here. Elaine looked from the woman to Marcus, then to the folder. The lights were too bright. Her tongue tasted of metal and stale citrus. She reached for the nearest chair and missed the back on the first try. Marcus waited until she sat. How many people work in this building? 212. 219. That includes temporary staff. It includes people whose names disappear from reports when their hours become inconvenient. Duncan laughed. A banquet server is auditing payroll now? Marcus kept his eyes on Elaine. When was the last time you spoke to Rosa Mendez without asking her to fix something? Elaine opened her mouth, then closed it. Devin Brooks? Linda Park? Nolan Gray? They report through department heads. They work 10 floors below this room. The air vent clicked off. For one long second, nothing replaced it. Elaine glanced at the folder. Who are you? Marcus placed one hand over it. Before we get there, I want an answer. To what? To how a hotel manager stops seeing the people who keep her hotel standing. Duncan leaned forward. Do not answer that. This meeting has no proper notice and no confirmed authority. The attorney beside him turned a page. Mr. Rourke, your authority was suspended at 8:42 this morning. His chair scraped the floor. Elaine stared at Marcus. The keys remained between them, dry now, their black fob reflecting the window. Marcus folded his hands. 18 hours ago, you still believed I was just another waiter on probation. The city beyond the glass dissolved into gray October rain. At 6:45 the previous morning, Marcus Hale stood in the basement staff entrance with a brass key warming in his palm and his daughter's message glowing on his phone. Don't be late tonight, Dad. At 6:45 a.m., Marcus pushed through the basement staff entrance as the metal door groaned. Cold air followed him down the steps, carrying diesel and rain. His phone showed Amara's message. Don't be late tonight, Dad. He typed, I won't, then added, I promise. 3rd week and you still beat the clock, Rosa Mendez said, beside dented service carts. At 58, she wore her gray hair in a tight bun and knew which noises attracted blame. The clock is easier than people, Marcus said. Rosa pushed a cart. One wheel folded under it with a metallic snap. They rejected the repair order again. They said housekeeping can share. With banquets? With everyone. Devin Brooks entered, carrying 2 crates of glasses. He was 24, narrow-shouldered, and smiled a second too late. Service elevator B is down. Rosa shut her eyes. Of course it is. Marcus crouched beside the caster. Maintenance has a spare wheel. You know where? I pay attention. Like a man expecting a test. Maybe every place is one. She handed him a wrench. Inside his vest, his fingers brushed the brass key Celeste had carried during her first hotel job, opening a narrow locker before dawn while taking night classes. Marcus had kept it since the hospital returned her belongings in a paper bag. Its worn edges warmed in his palm. The phone buzzed. Amara stood beside a white architectural model on the screen. Doors open at 7. Your seat is front row. Rosa glanced over. Your daughter? Her first exhibition. And you're going. That's the plan. That wasn't a question. Marcus sent back, front row. 7 sharp. At 7:02, 15 employees crowded into the windowless break room beneath fluorescent lights that hummed like trapped insects. A schedule hung on the wall with 3 names crossed out in red. Linda Park, the 39-year-old event coordinator, entered with a clipboard against her chest. Her lipstick was perfect. The skin around her thumbnail was raw. We're short again. Double stations until noon. Are the extra hours approved? Linda checked the hallway. Clock out at your scheduled time. Payroll will correct the rest later. Marcus asked, Correct it how? Linda turned. You're still on probation, right? Yes. Then focus on staying useful. The vending machine clicked on. Devin stared at the floor. Marcus nodded toward the red marks. Were those shifts canceled? Reassigned? To whom? Linda lowered the clipboard. Why do you question every instruction? Rosa's sleeve touched his arm. No reason. Just making sure the work gets done. Linda assigned 1 server to 3 rooms, told housekeeping to borrow banquet carts, and reminded everyone that complaints went through department heads. When the meeting ended, Rosa waited until the others left. You ask questions here. They remember your name. Marcus folded the schedule along the red lines. That can work both ways. He tucked it beneath his vest as heels struck tile in the corridor, fast and exact. The kitchen radio went quiet. A housekeeper stopped with both hands on a linen bin. The service door opened. Elaine Voss stood beneath the white light, one hand around a leather folder, already looking for something to blame. Elaine Voss entered without removing her gloves. Her heels struck the tile in 4 measured beats, then stopped beside the schedule Marcus had folded. The kitchen smelled of coffee, bleach, and onions warming in steel pans. No one moved. "Why is banquet staff still down here?" Linda raised her clipboard. "We were reviewing assignments." "At 7:12? The elevator." "I didn't ask about the elevator." Elaine was 44, slim, with dark hair pinned tightly behind her head. She found Marcus. "You. New server. Marcus Hale. I know what your badge says." Her gaze dropped to the wrench. "Why are you repairing equipment?" "The wheel failed." "Then call maintenance." They have 1 technician covering 2 buildings. Duncan Rourke appeared behind her, smoothing his navy coat. At 53, he carried warmth like a sales tool and kept a silver pen ready for someone else's signature. "Morning, team. Big night. Investors, acquisition people, civic guests. Let's be unforgettable for the right reasons." Elaine handed Linda a seating chart. "Add 2 tables, 24 places." Linda blinked. "We don't have enough floor staff." "You have people." "We have bodies," Rosa said. "Not enough hands." Elaine turned. "Did I ask housekeeping?" Rosa's knuckles whitened around the cart handle. Marcus set down the wrench. "The west aisle will close once trays come through." Duncan smiled. "And our probationary waiter is an event planner." "I'm saying the room won't carry it." Elaine stepped closer. Her perfume cut through the steam. "Your job is to carry plates." Marcus nodded once. "Understood." "Good. Linda, make it work." As she turned, Duncan touched her elbow. "Clean numbers, no complaints. That is what the new ownership wants." Her shoulders stiffened. They left. Marcus lifted the broken wheel onto the cart. Rosa whispered, "You enjoy standing in front of moving trains?" "No. You keep doing it." At 8:10, the ballroom glowed beneath 6 chandeliers while workers dragged tables across thick carpet. Chair legs rasped. Linen snapped open. Marcus paced the west aisle with a tray at shoulder height. 16 inches, he told Linda. She pressed 2 fingers to her temple. "I know." "Fire doors need more." "I know." "Then remove 1 table." "I can't." "Why?" Linda looked toward the balcony, where Elaine and Duncan studied the room. "Because she was told this night decides whether she stays." Upstairs, Elaine closed the office door behind Duncan. "You said the sale was stable." "It is, if the numbers hold." "And if they don't?" He rotated his silver pen. "New owners bring new leadership." Her nail scraped the banquet folder. Once, twice. "I gave this place 12 years. "Then give it 1 perfect night." Below, Marcus's phone vibrated against his ribs. Amara had sent a photograph of an empty chair beside her model. "Saved this for you." He stared until chandelier light blurred across the screen. "Marcus," Devon called. "We need you." Marcus locked the phone. At the far end of the ballroom, Duncan leaned over Elaine's shoulder and pointed to the staffing sheet. 3 names had been crossed out in red. This time, Marcus saw who held the pen. The silver pen moved again. From the ballroom floor, Marcus watched Duncan draw a line through a 4th name, then hand the sheet back to Elaine. She did not ask who would cover the missing station. She pressed the folder to her ribs and nodded. At 8:32, Marcus carried napkins into the service office. The room was warm from an aging copier and smelled of burnt coffee. Devon stood at the payroll terminal with both hands on the desk. "What happened?" Devon minimized the screen. "Nothing. Your face says otherwise." A printer clicked behind them and pushed out a sheet. Devon pulled it free. My last check was short again. How much? 6 hours, plus Friday's gratuity. Did you report it? Linda said payroll would fix it. And before that? Same answer. Marcus held out his hand. Devon hesitated, then passed him the page. 3 deductions appeared beneath the total: uniform adjustment, service correction, administrative hold. Each carried an authorization code. Did you sign any correction form? No. The copier fan whined. Marcus opened the lower drawer and found a binder labeled Event Distributions. The plastic cover felt greasy under his thumb. He compared Devon's check with the gratuity sheet from the previous banquet. The numbers did not match. Who has access? Finance. Management. Maybe Linda. Maybe. Devon swallowed. A woman from breakfast service asked that last month. 2 days later, her schedule vanished. What was her name? Keisha Ward. Did she quit? No one knows. The office door opened. Duncan leaned against the frame. Inventory lesson. Marcus closed the binder, but left one finger between the pages. Checking linens. In payroll. Wrong room. Duncan's gaze shifted to Devon. Mr. Brooks. Ballroom. Now. Devon left without looking back. Duncan stepped inside and shut the door with his heel. You are curious for a man still learning table numbers. I like understanding where I work. That can become expensive. For whom? The smile thinned. People on probation confuse access with importance. Marcus removed his finger from the binder. And people with offices confuse silence with consent. For the first time, Duncan's pen stopped moving. A knock broke the space between them. Rosa entered with a torn supply request. Laundry needs signatures. Duncan stepped aside. Then collect them. He walked out. Rosa waited until his footsteps faded. What did you find? Marcus showed her the deduction codes. Her mouth tightened. Those are not new. How far back? Maybe a year. Do you have schedules? In my locker. Keep copies somewhere else. She studied him. Why? Because paper disappears here. At 9:05, Marcus photographed the payroll page, the gratuity sheet, and the binder index. He locked the images behind an encrypted folder and returned every document to its original angle. Then the printer woke again. A new report slid into the tray. At the top was Elaine Voss's electronic approval. Beneath it, in smaller type, was a note authorizing discretionary service adjustments for the entire quarter. Marcus folded the page once. From the hallway, Duncan's voice carried clearly. Make sure the waiter doesn't finish probation. Duncan's words reached Marcus through the half-open door. Make sure the waiter doesn't finish probation. Rosa tightened her grip on the supply request. Marcus folded the payroll page and slipped it beneath his vest. You heard that, she whispered. So did you. That won't protect us. No, but it matters. At 6:18 p.m., the ballroom filled with low laughter and silverware. Kitchen heat pressed against doors. Marcus carried 6 plates while Devon followed. Table 12, then 14, Linda said. 14 is blocked. Elaine added chairs. A young server turned near the west aisle. His tray clipped a chair. One glass rolled across the linen and struck the floor. Marcus set down his tray. I've got it. I'm sorry, the server said. Take the soup out. Elaine crossed the room before Marcus could kneel. What happened? The aisle is too narrow, Marcus said. I asked what happened. The tray caught a chair. Whose tray? Mine. Elaine lowered her voice. Then clean it. A guest lifted a phone. Marcus crouched. Cold water seeped through his cuff as he gathered the shards into a folded napkin. The carpet smelled of wine and polish. Forks returned to plates. Elaine remained over him. People on probation do not redesign my floor plan. No, ma'am. They follow instructions. Yes. And they do not use other employees to hide mistakes. The server stepped forward. Marcus stopped him with one glance. Elaine noticed. Something to say? Marcus placed the final shard on the napkin. Only that the aisle still needs space. Guests stopped eating. Her jaw tightened. You are here to carry plates, not question management. Duncan appeared beside her, silver pen in his jacket. Let's keep the evening moving. Elaine pointed toward the doors. Remove that, then report to storage. Marcus didn't drop it, Devon said. The room seemed to shrink. Elaine turned. Excuse me? Devon's mouth opened, but nothing came. Marcus stood, water darkening his sleeve. He misunderstood. I didn't, Devon said. Duncan glanced at the guest filming. Enough. Back to work. Marcus carried the glass into the corridor. Behind him, chairs scraped aside to clear the passage he had warned them about. Linda followed him into storage and pulled the door nearly closed. Why take the blame? To keep him employed. You think that works here? It worked tonight. She rubbed the skin beside her thumbnail. Duncan told me to document insubordination. Did you? I wrote service disruption. Marcus dropped the shards into a bin. Change it. Linda stared at the floor drain. Keisha asked me to change a report too. He waited. She found missing gratuities. Duncan called it theft. Elaine signed the termination without reading the file. Where is it? Off-site archive. Can you get it? Maybe. A buzzer sounded twice from the ballroom. Marcus returned as his phone vibrated. Amara had sent a photograph of her exhibition badge beside an empty chair. Doors open in 40 minutes. Before he could answer, Elaine emerged from the private bar holding a fresh drink. Duncan followed with forms beneath his arm. Marcus, she called. You're staying until close. The ballroom clock read 6:46. The ballroom clock changed to 6:47 as Elaine lifted her glass. You're staying until close, she repeated. Marcus glanced at Amara's message, then at the private bar. My shift ends at 7. Not tonight. Duncan set 3 folders on the counter. We need flexibility. Ownership notices effort. Ownership notices records, Marcus said. Duncan's smile held. Then, keep yours clean. Inside the bar, amber light softened the leather chairs. Ice struck glass with sharp cracks. Elaine sat down and slipped off one shoe beneath the table. One perfect night, Duncan said, pouring again. You did it. We survived it. Same thing here. Marcus brought coffee, water, and bread. Elaine waved the tray away. I asked for the reserve bottle. You haven't eaten. Did I ask for advice? No. Then take the water. Duncan slid over the first folder. Routine staffing adjustments. Sign tonight and tomorrow is easier. Elaine squinted at the page. How many? 7 positions. That means people. It means margin. Marcus saw the names upside down. 2 servers, a housekeeper, a night auditor, and 3 temporary workers. Devon was on the second page. Elaine reached for Duncan's silver pen and missed it once. Read the attachments, Marcus said. Duncan turned. No one spoke to you. He's still here? Elaine asked. You ordered me to stay. Then stay useful. Marcus placed the water beside her hand. The attachments explain the cuts. Elaine shoved the glass. Water climbed the rim. Get out! Duncan held his phone sideways across the table. Marcus saw the red recording dot reflected in the window. Why are you filming? I'm checking messages. Sideways? Duncan lowered it. Clean the ballroom. Elaine signed the first page without turning it over. The pen scratched through the quiet room. At 7-Eleven, Marcus stacked chairs while the last guests collected coats. His phone vibrated. Amara's voice filled one ear. "Dad, everyone's here. My professor asked about you. I saved your seat, but they're starting." Behind him, a cork popped. He called. 4 rings. Voicemail. "Amara, I'm sorry. I'm leaving as soon as I can." He stopped before making another promise. Linda approached with a trash bag. She signed the cuts. "I saw. Devon's on it." "Does he know?" "No." "Keep it that way until we have copies." She looked toward the bar. "You talk like you can stop this." Marcus folded a stained tablecloth over his arm. "Someone should try." At 7:36, Duncan guided Elaine through the lobby. One heel landed crooked every third step. "I'll call a car," Marcus said. Elaine laughed. "For me?" "Yes. I have my own." Duncan touched her shoulder. "Let him." She pulled away. "I run this hotel. I can drive 6 blocks." Marcus moved toward the valet desk as rain tapped the glass. "Do not call anyone," she said. Nolan Gray looked up from the key cabinet. Elaine held out her hand. "My keys." Nolan hesitated. Duncan's phone rose again. A faint chime marked the recording. Outside, headlights blurred across wet pavement. Elaine stepped under the awning, palm still open. "Give them to me." Nolan's hand hovered over the hook. Marcus reached the desk first. "Give me the keys, Nolan." Elaine's hand remained open between them. Rain hissed beyond the awning, and the revolving door pushed cold air through the lobby. "You don't order him," she said. "No, I'm asking him." Nolan looked from Elaine to Duncan, then unhooked the black fob. His fingers shook against the ring. "Ma'am, maybe we should call a car." Elaine laughed. "You too." Duncan raised his phone. "This is getting out of control." Marcus stepped beneath the awning. Water ran down his collar. "Elaine, you can fire me tomorrow. Tonight, you're not driving. I already fired you." "Then I have less to lose." 2 executives paused near the curb. One began filming. Elaine straightened, but her balance shifted toward the pillar. "Give me my property." Marcus held out his palm. Nolan placed the fob in it. "You're humiliating me in front of my own staff." "No," Marcus said. "I'm keeping this from becoming worse." Across the street, a bus released its brakes with a long sigh. Elaine pointed toward the lobby. "Everyone hear me. Marcus Hale is terminated for insubordination and theft." Devon stood inside the glass doors. Linda had stopped beside the coat stand. Neither spoke. Duncan moved closer. "Return the keys and walk away." "Call her sister," Marcus told Nolan. Duncan's smile disappeared. "You don't know anything about her family." "The emergency contact is in tonight's transport file." A patrol cruiser slowed at the curb. Officer Sarah Kent lowered her window. "Everything all right here?" Duncan answered first. "Disgruntled employee. He took the manager's keys." Elaine folded her arms, though one elbow slipped. "Arrest him." The officer looked at Marcus. "Sir?" Marcus opened his hand. The fob lay on his wet palm. "She has been drinking. I asked the valet not to release the vehicle. We're arranging another ride." Officer Kent turned to Nolan. "Is that accurate?" Nolan swallowed. "Yes, ma'am." Duncan cut in. "He threatened management." The nearest executive kept filming. "What exactly did he say?" the officer asked. Duncan's mouth opened. Elaine snapped. "He said I wasn't allowed to leave." Marcus met the officer's eyes. "I said she wasn't driving." Officer Kent stepped out. Rain beaded on her jacket. "Ma'am, Do you have someone who can pick you up? I do not need permission from a waiter. No one said you did. Marcus handed the keys to Nolan. Keep them in the cabinet until morning. Duncan reached for Elaine's elbow. She pulled away and nearly struck the brass luggage stand. Marcus caught it, then stepped back without touching her. The gesture silenced the awning. Officer Kent nodded toward the lobby. Let's get you inside and call someone. Elaine looked at Marcus through rain and neon. You think this makes you important? His silver watch gleamed. Amara's missed call waited behind his dark screen. No, he said. It makes you safe. Nolan dialed the emergency contact. Linda opened the lobby door for Elaine. Duncan remained under the awning, his phone lowered now. As Marcus followed them inside, the night clerk approached with a termination notice bearing Elaine's electronic signature and a timestamp of 12:14 a.m. The night clerk held out the termination notice. I was told to deliver this immediately. Elaine stared at the timestamp. I didn't sign that. Duncan stepped closer. The system processes approvals automatically. At 12:14 a.m.? Marcus asked. No one answered. Officer Kent guided Elaine toward a chair near the lobby fireplace. Nolan locked the car keys inside the cabinet. Your sister is coming, he said. Cancel it. I can't, ma'am. Duncan lowered his voice. You need to leave before this becomes a spectacle. Linda stood beside the coat rack. It already is. Marcus folded the copy along Elaine's printed signature. Keep the original in the personnel file. You don't work here anymore, Duncan said. Then you shouldn't be worried. At 12:41, Elaine's sister arrived in a wool coat over pajamas and took Elaine to a waiting car. Elaine looked at Marcus through the open door. You did this to embarrass me. Rain cooled the water trapped in his cuff. I did it so you'd be here to regret it tomorrow. The door closed. Red taillights blurred across the wet street. Marcus checked his phone. 6 missed calls. A voicemail. Amara's voice was quiet. They turned off the gallery lights, Dad. I waited because you said front row. I'm taking the model home. Cardboard scraped against the receiver. I know you help people. I just wish, once, you would arrive before someone needed saving. The message ended. Go, Rosa said from the lobby doorway. They fired me. Then you have no excuse. At 1:07 a.m., the doors were locked. Beyond the glass, one security lamp illuminated Amara's white architectural model and the empty chair beside it. A side door opened. Amara stepped out carrying a box of programs. Her red coat was unbuttoned. The box had a rain-softened corner. You came? I'm late. That isn't the same thing. He reached for the box. She moved it away. I told everyone you were parking. I'm sorry. You always are. The brass key in his vest pressed against his ribs. Someone could have been hurt tonight, he said. I know. I couldn't walk away. I know that too. Her fingers tightened around the box. But you keep choosing strangers at the exact moment I need my father. Marcus looked through the glass at the empty chair. Your mother carried this key through every night shift, he said, placing it in his palm. I bought the hotel because people like her deserved better. And what did that cost tonight? You. Amara's voice stayed level. Don't turn me into another reason to abandon something. Marcus opened the acquisition documents on his phone. I can stop the purchase before 9. And leave 200 employees with Duncan? If owning it means disappearing from your life, finish what you started. She lowered the box. Just stop calling every sacrifice temporary. She placed one exhibition program on the wet ledge and walked toward her car. At 1:19, Marcus's phone rang. His attorney spoke first. "We found a transfer request. Duncan tried to move employee settlement funds 3 hours ago." Marcus looked at Amara's empty chair. "Freeze the accounts. And the acquisition?" He closed his hand around the brass key. "Completed at 9. At 7:03 a.m., Marcus stood beneath the service entrance heater while rain ticked against the metal door. His vest had dried stiff at the shoulders. He had not gone home. Hannah Lee called. "The transfer cleared. Your holding company now controls Bellwether Grand. Any challenge?" "Duncan tried to move the employee settlement reserve at 4:18. We froze it. Keep that between legal, the board, and me." "You're walking back in dressed as staff?" "Yes, they still tell the truth around waiters." At 7:20, Rosa handed him a grocery bag of copied schedules. "These go back 11 months. Where did you keep them?" "My sister's freezer." He took the bag. "Work your shift. Say nothing." The brass key rested beside his phone. He slipped it into his vest. Upstairs, Duncan entered the conference room carrying a laptop, his silver pen, and 2 statements. Linda stood by the credenza. "This says Marcus threatened Ms. Voss. He interfered with management property." He handed the keys to Nolan. After creating a public scene. "And this says he appeared intoxicated." Duncan looked up. "You want your department protected?" Linda rubbed the raw skin beside her thumbnail. "I want the record accurate." "The record is what survives." He pushed the statement toward her. "Sign." She did not touch it. In the lobby, Nolan copied the overnight security file to an external drive. Devon arrived early and stopped when he saw Marcus arranging coffee outside the boardroom. "I thought they fired you." "They did." "Then why are you polishing their cups?" Marcus aligned the handles toward the door. "They notice fingerprints before they notice people." "Duncan told security you stole the keys." "I expected that." "You're not angry." "I'm busy." At 8:31, Hannah entered with Thomas Bell, 61, in an old brown coat. Neither greeted Marcus by title. "Everything ready?" Hannah asked. "The records are downstairs. The false statements are upstairs." Thomas glanced toward the boardroom. "Elaine?" "On her way." At 8:42, Duncan's laptop rejected 3 passwords. His access had been suspended. "What did you do?" he snapped at Linda. "Nothing." He called regional finance. The line transferred him to legal. At 8:55, Elaine entered through the revolving doors wearing yesterday's black suit beneath a gray coat. Her hair was pinned, but one side had come loose. She carried the termination notice and pressed her tongue against her cheek whenever the lobby lights became too bright. "Where is Duncan?" "Executive conference room," Nolan said. "And Marcus Hale?" Nolan looked past her. Marcus stood by the elevator with a silver coffee pot in one hand. Elaine's face hardened. "Why is he here?" "There's a meeting at 9. "You are not attending it." The elevator arrived with a soft bell. Marcus stepped inside. "You should," he said. She followed, gripping the dismissal as the doors closed. Only the cables hummed above them. On the 12th floor, the corridor clock moved from 8:59 to 9 o'clock. Marcus reached for the conference room handle. "When the owner arrives," Elaine said, "I'll make sure he hears exactly what you did." The second hand touched 12. The handle began to turn. The handle turned beneath Marcus's hand, and Elaine followed him into the conference room. Duncan stood beside the window with his laptop open. Hannah Lee sat to his left. Elaine stopped at the place card. Marcus Hale. Chair. "This is absurd." Duncan crossed the room. "Elaine, say nothing until I understand what legal is doing." Hannah closed the door. The latch clicked. cutting off the elevator bells. Marcus set the coffee pot aside. Sit down. You no longer work here. That changed at 9. Thomas slid forward the acquisition page. Hale Meridian Hospitality owned Bellwether Grand. Elaine read it. No? Duncan reached for it. Hannah covered the page. Mr. Rourke, remain seated. Marcus removed his name badge and placed it beside Elaine's car keys. I founded Hale Meridian 17 years ago, he said. The transfer closed this morning. Elaine gripped the termination notice. You were spying on us. I was working here. Under a false identity. Under my own name. Duncan laughed once. An owner cannot impersonate staff, provoke conflict, then punish executives for reacting. Marcus looked at him. Did I create the missing gratuities? Hannah laid Devon's pay statement, the event distribution sheet, and the quarterly adjustment authorization on the table. Elaine stared at her approval. I never saw this page. Your credentials approved it, Hannah said. Duncan prepared those packets. Duncan leaned toward her. Be careful. Marcus turned the sheet. How many did you sign without reading? I trusted finance. Your employees trusted payroll. That is different. They had less power. Her hand reached toward Duncan's pen, then stopped. Elaine pushed back. Last night has nothing to do with accounting. It shows how decisions are made here. I was exhausted. You were impaired. You humiliated me. Marcus placed the dismissal beside the keys. You fired the person who stopped you from driving. The approval was recorded at 12:14, after you left. Elaine studied the timestamp. I did not sign this then. Automated workflow, Duncan said. Hannah opened another file. The approval came from your office terminal at 12:09. Security footage places you in the lobby. Stored credentials, Duncan said. Anyone could have used them. Your access card opened her office at 11:58, Hannah replied. Duncan's chair creaked. Marcus slid across 7 proposed terminations. Devon Brooks's name appeared on the second page. You signed this in the bar. Elaine touched the corner where her signature crossed the date. I don't remember. Devon will remember losing his income. The paper trembled beneath her fingers. Marcus folded his hands. I did not come here to inspect the lobby. I came to learn what happened when no guest was watching. Elaine looked toward the dark window. What happens now? An independent investigation. To Duncan. To every decision connected to these records. Including mine. Including yours. A knock sounded. Rosa entered carrying a grocery bag swollen with copied schedules. Behind her stood Devon, Linda, and Nolan. Rosa placed the bag on the table. The old rubber band had stretched nearly white. 11 months, she said. It snapped. The snapped rubber band struck the table and landed beside Elaine's hand. Rosa steadied the schedules before the top pages slid loose. The room smelled of wet wool, coffee, and toner. Rain traced the windows. 11 months, she said. Original rosters, revised rosters, and what payroll received. Duncan leaned back. Photocopies prove nothing. They prove my name disappeared from 32 hours, Devon said. Marcus turned to Hannah. Begin the hold. She sent one message. Payroll, personnel files, security archives, and access logs are preserved. Elaine's jaw tightened. You're freezing the hotel? Only the records. The door opened. Maya Cole entered with a hard case and pad. At 45, the labor auditor wore square glasses and moved like someone who disliked wasted words. I need separate rooms. No managers speaking to employees before interviews. No deleted messages. Duncan shut his laptop. This is hostile. Then facts should help you. At 10:18, Devon sat across from Maya in a sales office where the heater clicked on and off. He unlocked his phone. These came after I asked about tips. Maya read, "Be grateful you still have banquet hours. Questions create scheduling problems. Who sent them? Linda's account." Linda shook her head. "Duncan dictated them. He stood over my desk. Did you object?" Her thumbnail found the raw skin beside it. Not where anyone could hear. Devon looked at her. "I could hear." Linda lowered her eyes. Downstairs, Nolan connected a drive to the security station. "Unedited curb footage," he told Hannah. "Awning audio, too." Officer Sarah Kent arrived at 10:41 and watched once. On screen, Marcus held the keys while Duncan claimed he had threatened management. Sarah paused the video. "That didn't happen. Will you state that formally?" Maya asked. "I already started the report." Elaine watched Marcus step back when she lost her balance, then catch the luggage stand instead of touching her. "He could have let me fall," she said. No one answered. At noon, Maya spread the evidence: Rosa's schedules, Devon's messages, the raw video, access logs, and Duncan's statement for Linda. Duncan tapped the table. She approved the reductions. Her signature is on every packet. Elaine stared at the pages. "You called them temporary adjustments. And you signed them. You said complaints were fabricated. You wanted the numbers." Marcus spoke from the far end. Clean numbers did not require dirty methods. Elaine turned. "Are you saying I knew?" "I'm asking when you stopped checking." Her chair creaked. Beside each erased shift, Rosa had written the actual hours in blue ink. "I remember this week," Elaine said. "The storm. Housekeeping stayed overnight." "They were paid for 6 hours," Rosa replied. "They worked 14. Elaine touched the page, leaving a faint coffee mark. Maya closed her pad. "Tomorrow's hearing will determine who designed the system, who approved it, and who benefited." Duncan stood. "Then I want counsel." "You should," Hannah said. As he left, Linda placed a small recorder beside the broken rubber band. "He told me what to say before Marcus reached the awning," she whispered. A red light was still blinking. At 9:06 the next morning, the hearing room smelled of burnt coffee and wet wool. Maya Cole checked the recorder and pointed to Duncan's microphone. "State your name and role." "Duncan Rourke, Regional Finance Director." "Former Regional Finance Director," Hannah corrected. He ignored her. "Mr. Hale concealed his ownership, entered operations in disguise, and provoked management to justify a takeover." Maya asked, "Did he tell you to record him under the awning?" Duncan's silver pen clicked twice. "I documented misconduct." Hannah played the curb video. Rain hissed through the speakers. Marcus's voice stayed low. Duncan accused him of threats before anyone raised a voice. Maya paused it. "Where is the threat?" Duncan looked at Elaine. "She can confirm the atmosphere." Elaine held a paper cup. The lid bent beneath her thumb. Rosa testified next. Revised schedules arrived after employees worked, names disappeared, and complaints returned as fewer shifts. "Why keep copies?" Maya asked. "Because the official pages kept changing." Rosa looked at Elaine. "Anyone who signed them could have known." Devon set his phone beside the microphone. Messages filled the monitor. "Those came from Linda," Duncan said. "From my account," Linda replied. "In your words. You chose to send them. You stood behind me until I did. And you kept your job." Linda's chair scraped. At 10:22, Garrett Sloan entered with a drive. "I recorded the banquet because the manager was mistreating the waiter." "A partial recording," Duncan said. That's why I brought the original. The ballroom returned on screen. Block dial, broken glass, Elaine's reprimand. Then Duncan's voice came from behind the camera. Cut the floor staff now. If service fails, blame the new waiter. He won't survive probation anyway. No one moved. A spoon fell in the corridor and rolled in widening circles. Maya faced Duncan. Your voice? It lacks context. What context changes those words? He turned to Elaine. You agreed Marcus was disruptive. Elaine's cup bent inward. Duncan slid a statement toward her. Read section 3. It says he created fear, withheld property, and pressured you. Marcus watched Elaine, not the paper. Maya switched on the microphone. A green light appeared. Elaine unfolded the page. Her lips moved, but no sound came. The ventilation shut off. For several seconds, the microphone carried only her breathing. Then she pushed the statement away. He did not threaten me. Duncan's pen stopped. He stopped me from driving, Elaine said. I called it humiliation because I had lost control. Elaine, wait. No. She faced the workers. I signed papers I did not read. I accepted numbers because they protected my position. I spoke to people as if fear belonged only to me. Rose's gaze stayed level. Duncan built the system, Elaine said. I helped it survive. The microphone carried every breath to the far speaker. Maya marked the time. Statement entered. Hannah held out her hand for Duncan's access card. He released it only after she asked twice. As security opened the door, Garrett's recording remained paused. In one corner, Marcus was still kneeling in spilled water while the ballroom watched and did nothing. The paused image remained on the monitor while Maya closed the evidence file. At 2, we reconvene for findings, she said. Until then, no one contacts staff or enters finance. Duncan stood near the door, his access card gone. You're treating paperwork like a conviction. Hannah gathered the drives. The logs and transfers are not disputed. Elaine stayed seated after the room emptied. Her cup had split, leaving coffee on her fingers. Marcus stopped beside her. Did you know about the settlement reserve? She asked. No. You think I did? I think you stopped asking what your signature meant. Her eyes dropped to the frozen image of him kneeling on the ballroom floor. I can't change that. No. At 2:07, Maya read the findings. Mr. Rourke directed unauthorized gratuity deductions, altered schedules, used stored credentials to approve terminations, and attempted to transfer restricted employee funds. Duncan's attorney leaned close, but Maya continued. He also prepared false statements and recorded Ms. Voss to use her condition as leverage. Elaine looked. Leverage for what? Hannah placed an email before her. If she resists the restructuring, remind her we have the bar footage. Elaine read it twice. You said that recording protected me. It protected the company, Duncan replied. You mean it protected you? Duncan turned to Marcus. This hotel needed cuts. I delivered them. You took money people had earned, Marcus said. I protected the asset you bought. You taught people silence was safer. Thomas Bell slid over a resolution. Duncan's employment ended immediately. His compensation was suspended pending recovery of losses, and the evidence would go to outside counsel and state labor investigators. Duncan refused to sign. He capped his silver pen and left it beside the paper. At 4:30, employees gathered in the lobby. No music played. Beneath the marble floor, the fountain pump clicked. Elaine stood near the front desk. I approved decisions that harmed you, she said. Some were placed before me dishonestly. I still signed them. I treated people as if their fear mattered less than mine. Devon folded his arms. I am no longer general manager. I have agreed to treatment and a recovery program. There is no promise I will return, and I am not asking anyone to forgive me. Rosa said, An apology doesn't restore rent money. No, Elaine answered. It doesn't. She returned from her office with a screwdriver, removed the gold nameplate, and placed it on the front counter. The metal made a small, final sound against the stone. Marcus stepped forward. Every withheld gratuity and unpaid hour will be returned, he said. An additional payment will cover the delay. No one must sign a release to receive it. Devon stared at him. And Keisha Ward? We found her file. She'll be contacted, paid, and offered independent counsel. What about us? You decide what forgiveness looks like. The company decides what repair requires. Phones began vibrating as payroll notices arrived. Rosa read hers without smiling, then turned the screen toward Devon. Across the lobby, Elaine stood without a title while the gold plate reflected the ceiling lights, and no one moved to pick it up. At 7:30 the next morning, the gold nameplate was gone from the front desk. In its place lay nomination forms. Marcus stood beside them while employees arrived for the first paid meeting in the hotel's history. Rosa lifted a form. Who approves these? No one upstairs, Marcus said. You nominate each other. For what? A 7-person employee council. And management can't remove us? Not without an independent review. The lobby smelled of coffee and floor polish. Morning light crossed the marble as more hands reached for forms. At 9, Maya Cole projected the new payroll system onto the ballroom screen. Every gratuity would appear on employee accounts within 24 hours. Any correction required 2 approvals, and workers would receive the same record finance saw. What if it's wrong? Linda asked. You flag it here, Maya said. The complaint goes outside the hotel. To whom? An independent labor office. Management cannot erase it, reroute it, or cut your shifts for filing. Devon raised his phone. Can they see who complained? Only if you identify yourself. A murmur moved through the room. Rosa pressed one thumb against the form until the paper curved. Thomas Bell opened the next policy. No employee can be fired from a verbal accusation. There must be written evidence, time to respond, and review outside the reporting chain. Linda looked toward Elaine's empty chair. That would have saved Keisha. It should have existed before she needed saving, Marcus said. By noon, Nolan had mounted a sign beside the valet cabinet. Safe Ride Authority. Any employee could stop a guest or executive from driving, arrange transportation, and refuse to release keys without retaliation. Nolan tapped the sign. Even if it's the owner? Marcus handed him a marker. Write that in. Nolan added, especially the owner. For corporate events, responsible managers could not drink while supervising staff. Transportation had to be arranged before the first glass was served. No worker could be kept past a scheduled shift without consent and recorded overtime. Devon looked at Marcus. So if my sister graduates, I leave when the schedule says? If you gave notice, yes. And nobody calls that disloyal? Not here. At 3:10, Rosa was elected to the Oversight Committee with 63 votes. She unfolded the result twice. I never asked for an office, she said. You're not getting one, Marcus replied. You're getting access. Devon received a paid place in the hotel management program. His smile came on time for once. Near the service corridor, a carpenter installed a glass frame beside a new door marked Open Door, Employee Support. Marcus placed Celeste's worn brass key inside. Under the warm hallway lamp, every scratch remained visible. Rosa stood beside him. Does it still open anything? A locker that no longer exists. Then why keep it? Because she spent years entering through basement doors. Rosa adjusted the frame until it hung level. This one opens from both sides. At 6:45, Marcus's phone buzzed. Amara had sent a photograph of a new exhibition card. 6 months from today. Same gallery. You going? Rosa asked. Marcus looked at the key, then typed, front row, early. 6 months later, at 8:05 a.m., the Bellwether Grand Lobby sounded different. The fountain still clicked beneath the marble, but the morning briefing came from a circle of employees rather than a manager behind a podium. Rosa chaired the meeting with a blue folder open on her knees. 3 payroll corrections this month, she said, all resolved within 24 hours. Maya Cole's quarterly report lay on every chair. It listed returned gratuities, overtime payments, complaints received, and the outcome of each review. Devon, halfway through the hotel management program, stood beside the screen. 2 supervisors skipped the safe ride training. Then they don't supervise evening events, Rosa replied. Marcus watched from the back, wearing Celeste's silver watch. No one turned to ask permission. At noon, Linda led a workshop for department heads on retaliation and record-keeping. Her voice shook, but she did not look toward the door. Nolan had become the hotel's transportation coordinator, and the sign beside the valet cabinet still carried one line in black marker, especially the owner. Keisha Ward returned once. She accepted the wages she had been denied, declined the offer to come back, and asked that her statement remain in the training file. Marcus agreed. Duncan's case had gone to outside counsel and state investigators. He no longer worked for the company, and his compensation remained frozen while losses were calculated. Elaine completed treatment and an ethics program before the board allowed her to return as a training coordinator without authority over schedules, payroll, or discipline. Her first session was held in the ballroom where Marcus had knelt in spilled water. She placed the banquet photograph on the screen, then faced 20 supervisors. I used pressure as an excuse, she said. The people below me paid for it. A supervisor asked, Do they forgive you? Elaine looked toward Rosa, who had come to observe. Some don't. That is theirs to decide. Rosa closed her folder, but stayed until the session ended. At 6:20 that evening, Marcus arrived at Amara's second exhibition 40 minutes early. He turned off his phone before entering. Her model showed a community center built around a wide central corridor with glass offices and doors opening from both sides. You made it, she said. I said I would. You said that last time, too. I know. She studied him, then handed him the first program instead of pointing toward his seat. Walk with me. He followed her from room to room while she explained every roofline, ramp, and window. When his phone vibrated inside his coat, he left it there. Later, they ate beside the hotel restaurant window. Rain moved softly across the glass. Devon approached in a dark trainee jacket, carrying 2 menus. Mr. Hale, your table is ready. Marcus glanced at the jacket. Looks right on you. Devon smiled. Rosa says I still carry plates too fast. She's usually right. Across the lobby, the open-door office remained lit. Inside its glass frame, Celeste's brass key no longer pointed toward a locker. It rested beneath the words, Every door opens both ways. Amara set her exhibition program beside Marcus's phone, face down between them. You staying for dessert? She asked. Yes. Outside, the rain softened against the window. Have you ever seen someone treated as invisible at work, only for the truth to surface later? Share your experience in the comments, especially if one quiet decision changed what happened next. Send this story to someone who believes dignity should never depend on a title, uniform, salary, or place at the table. Subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, accountability, and the system changes that matter after the headlines fade. And remember the people who spoke up too late, the ones who kept records, and the ones who chose to act while everyone else watched. Sometimes change begins with a single person refusing to hand over the keys.